Black Lightning season finale, Shadow of Death, The Book of War. Definitely a good season finale for the show. I'm excited for season two. Just to get through like some of the smaller stuff. Lala is officially dead, or maybe he's not. I was really curious if they were gonna do like a double sort of resurrection thing, and I'm like, is that how that's gonna play out, or is he like actually dead? I'm gonna assume he's actually dead. Now they're moving like full on with Tobias and Khalil, who's now like Painkiller. That's like his villain name, as well as Cyanide. So Lala is gone. We have like our trio of main villains, all with their code names and everything like that. Really cool opening. I love the opening to this episode with like the black and white. I thought that was cool. Like just throughout the episode with the the black and white portions. I thought that was sweet. I don't know if this was intentional or if this was just totally random, but I like to think it was somebody being super cool on the creative side. But in that opening, when Pierce like attacks the cops and he uses his powers, when he goes through that gate, if I'm not mistaken at least, that alleyway is the same alleyway from the first episode where we first see him use his powers. And I thought that was cool. It's not the first time we technically see him use his powers, but when he comes out of the club, that's the first time it's like full on where we see it. Because in the club, it was like flashing lights and everything. But I was like, that's super cool. I'm pretty sure that that's the same alley. And like I said, I hope that that was like a creative thing. Like, oh, let's have him go down this alley. And, that's where he had like, kind of two moments where, he shoots lightning and then he runs into the electric fence. I was like, that was a cool little thing. Like I said, could have been, I could be wrong. Could have been, just a coincidence. But either way, I thought it was cool. I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure the same alleyway. So definitely like that. We get a couple of little extra things. We find out that Cyanide is actually human, but she has like Kevlar underneath her skin. So that was interesting. I was like, okay, so she's not a robot. She is a human being. She just has like impenetrable Kevlar underneath her skin, which you totally got to go with. I mean, people have superpowers. Sure, scientifically that makes sense because that just would not work. You can't. It doesn't work. Like no material is as flexible as skin. Yeah, that's the easiest way to put it. At least not as permanently as skin is, where you can do like everything that you need to do, plus some random new stuff. Like if you break a bone or something, it's like okay, your skin can probably get pierced or just move in that weird way. I'm not sure Kevlar is that stretchy, so I was like, oh, sure, that makes sense. Also, it's underneath her skin, and we saw her like get cut, so I was like, okay, that's why I thought she was a robot too, because it's like, oh, she's cut open. Pretty sure you'd have to be like so close underneath the skin to be cut and not bleed. That's very interesting. So I was like, comic science. There you go. But we find out a lot about her crazy dark history found with her umbilical cord wrapped around her neck and like the trash or something crazy. Villain uprising. That's just how it went. So good episode for sure. We have Tobias going up against the one dude. They gave him like all the super super funny lines where it was like, I don't even know. It didn't even make sense that he said it, but he's like, "Let's make America great again." I was like, why would he even say that? It didn't even make sense, but it made me laugh because I was like, they threw that in there because he's meant to be like the racist white guy, but it just made me laugh because I was like, that doesn't even make sense why he would say that. It just sounded dumb, but it was super funny. It was like he's trying to get the metahuman gene so that they can um, save all the people that are dying in the experiments and everything. Then eventually they do end up finding out where Pierce and everybody else is. So of course, we get the crazy swarm. Pierce is going through his flashbacks. He eventually ends up waking up, and we find out he doesn't have his powers. But Jennifer comes to save the day again. Like she saved his life in the last episode. She literally saved him. As far as being a superhero, she gives him his powers back. So I was like, cool. That it just worked. Even though they said like a battery can't hold its charge at some point, apparently that's not true. Comic science. She just shocked him a bunch, and it worked. He got it. He got his powers back. So I was like, okay, well, sweet, there you go. So they have a crazy cool fight scene. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty nice. There's some stuff in there that made me laugh again, like with Lynn when she shoots the one guy. I think she shot him once, and then it was like the second person when she pumped it. I was like, she would have been shot. Plus they were that's what really got me during the house scene. I was like, what are they wearing? Like tissue or something? Like they were getting shot once, and it was like every time they got hit, it was just like perfect placement. Like I can understand Gambi doing that where he knows like the spaces in the Kevlar, but with Lynn it was like she shot him with a shotgun like in the chest. It wasn't like she like blew his head off or anything. It was just like a shotgun to the chest, and I'm like he would have got up from that. He should have at least. I mean, I don't know. It just made sense to me, but I don't know. I just thought it was super funny because I'm like, are they just not wearing anything right now? They're just getting shot and it's just like and they're all dead, and I was like, wow, they beat these seemingly trained military personnel or secret, rogue government personnel, and they just took him down like it was nothing. A shotgun, not even a special, it was just a pump action shotgun. And Gambi just had a normal handgun. He didn't have some sort of comic book hand cannon handgun that like blows chunks out of people. He just shot him in the side and he died. I was like, they're all dead, and they survived. It was super easy. And then of course on the outside it's like they couldn't survive anything in the house, but they have like weapons to stop Thunder from being able to use her abilities, which I was super curious. I'm like, how does that even work? Because it seemed like she was moving in slow motion a little bit, and it was like her power, I guess it was like supposed to be like kinetic and potential energy, so they're taking all of the kinetic energy and absorbing it. That's the only thing I can possibly think of, and I'm like, I guess that makes sense. They don't explain it. They just had a weapon. Where I was, that's what also surprised me, because I was like, they didn't, they only knew about it for like a little bit, but they already had weapons for that. And obviously they thought Black Lightning was dead, so they didn't bother taking weapons to stop him. So it's like, all right, well, they go out. He beats some people up. He drops off the roof, which just wouldn't have. Like they do stuff sometimes in superhero shows that makes me laugh, because I'm like, he has lightning. He shoots lightning. Other than that, the dude is just, he's a normal guy. Like, he can't just drop off a rooftop and just duck and roll. Like, that doesn't really work for people. You can do parkour, but typically it's not like a straight drop. Because that was like a pretty sharp angle that he dropped at. Like, from the stuff I've seen, I was like, that's like a pretty sharp angle. He just dropped down and he rolled. I was like, that wouldn't happen even for the fittest of people. But that's also not his superpower. He's not that super. So it just made me laugh. Little stuff like that. I was just like nitpicking. But I did enjoy the episode. I definitely thought it was cool. Not like a huge lead into the next season. They tease us with whatever it is that the dude was running away with the briefcase and everything. And we don't really know what the deal is with that. Eventually, of course, Tobias ends up getting it after everyone is kind of wiped out, and Gambi just destroys the dude, because they're having their conversation. I was like, okay, are they gonna go like the hero route, or are they not? Because it's like, well, how do they let this guy live when he knows the family? So I was like, they kind of have to kill this guy, but typical hero stuff. It's like, we can't kill the bad guys. Gambi's not like that though. He was like, that's funny coming from you as a monster. He's like, you're right, and he just shot the dude. I was like, oh crap, he killed him in front of the kids and everything. So I was like, okay, they gotta take care of the bad guys. He's like, I am a monster, but I'm not gonna let any more kids get hurt. So I was like, all right, he put him down, so that does that. Maybe they killed that scientist, because I'm like, he kind of knows everybody's face now too. We'll just assume he lived. He got the hero treatment. But Tobias gets all the thumbs and everything, and he they brought back the harpoon at the end. And he opens it up, and it's kind of Pulp Fiction like, where we just see literally we see a green light, which I assume that's what it is, but it's still this whole tainted idea. So I don't know, it should be interesting. And we do see Tobias actually taking the serum, so that's the first time, unless I'm mistaken, that's the first time we've seen that, because I just assumed it was a permanent thing, like it was something that happened to him a long time ago, and that's just his thing, kind of like Wolverine ages slower. I just thought it happened, and then that's what happened with Tobias. Like, he kind of had powers, but it was more of a latent thing, but it also did technically give him like super strength and stuff. And we find out that he's still currently taking this serum, so he does have to keep taking it, and he has been for however long. Maybe in season 2 he'll have like even more strength and stuff like that, and who knows how that'll play out. But I would assume it has something to do with green light. Maybe whatever was in that briefcase will be kind of the key to giving people more people stable powers, instead of like them dying off. But definitely a good finale. Definitely thought it was entertaining. The action I thought was pretty good. Tobias trying to go in and kill the guy, get the briefcase, everything. Kill some random henchmen here and there. I thought Khalil should have been dead, because he has to do like this to shoot arrows, and they have guns, and they totally should have killed him as he was walking down this straight hallway. But once again, that's like TV stuff. Like, if a character's not meant to die, it's Stormtrooper style. People are just gonna miss. It doesn't matter how narrow the path. But definitely enjoyed the finale. I like the music too. I mentioned that in another episode where it was like, oh, they picked actual songs that weren't made for the show, and they were just songs that happened to be like, I like that song. That's a good song too. They did the slow motion running thing at the end, which also made me laugh. I was looking at a lot of random stuff during this episode, because as they're running, they run to the house. So I was like, so he was running down the street, and then they waited, and then like, it was obviously meant to look a certain way, but I was like, that just looks super weird when you do it that way, where he's running towards the house, and they were just standing on the sidewalk, and they're like, oh, let's just run these couple of feet, because it was in slow motion. I was like, if that was in normal motion, that was like less than a minute. It took like 30 seconds to get from here to the porch. So that was weird. Random little like real life stuff, like not visual, like visually it looked great. And I was like, oh, the girl's coming in just like before, which it may have been like that in the other episode. I just didn't notice. But when it was in slow motion, I was like, oh, the family's back together, everybody's good. Jennifer is like accepting her powers. Like she lifts the one dude up, which I thought was a funny scene. And her mom was mad, but everybody else is just like, her parents were mad. And then you can see in this, and she was like kind of laughing, and Gambi was just like, well, okay, cool, powers. It was kind of funny, like the different reactions. But it's like, oh, the family's together and everything. And it took like 30 seconds, and they met him like at the end of his run, and then they went to the porch. And I just thought that made me laugh, because I was like, that was really weird. It was slightly awkward. But all in all, definitely a funny episode. Through in parts, there's some funny little stuff here and there, but really enjoyed it. Definitely been a really good season. I loved how fast paced it was. I mentioned that quite a few times, because I hate when the show just stretches, tons of fillers here and there. And I think they kind of came out of the gate running, where it was like, we don't have time, we have to make a really good show. And that's what they did. So I was super happy about that. Hopefully season 2 stays the same way. Excuse me. Maybe we'll get to see some crazy crossover stuff. I don't know if they're planning to add, Black Lightning into the rotation when they do like the 4-night, crazy crossover events. But I'm excited to see where they take it. So far, it's obviously, this is like one of the most grounded shows. I think this and Arrow are like, the 2 most grounded shows. And Arrow, of course, now having expanded into, the rest of the shows, has gotten bigger, but it's still, more grounded if you happen to watch it, because I know a lot of people don't even watch Arrow anymore. But it's still fairly grounded and stuff. They typically don't deal with like superpowers and things like that. So, this is one of the shows where, even with superpowers, it's fairly grounded. It's not like a ton of superhumans and things like that. So I'm curious to see where they take it for season 2, and how they up the ante, and how they kind of keep it grounded, or if they decide not to. I'm curious how they ultimately decide to take that. But definitely a fun season, definitely a fun finale. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. And of course, I just want to know your favorite moments from this season, favorite villain moments, favorite hero moments, favorite action moments or reveals or anything like that. I think the show in general was really well acted. I don't know if I ever like really mentioned that, but aside from this scene where Jennifer like fake got shot by the kid with like the squirt gun, aside from that, I don't think I mentioned like I just enjoyed the acting throughout this series. I thought it was well done. All the action I thought was pretty good. Definitely thought it was funny in parts. Like obviously a lot of the black culture stuff that they put in always makes me laugh, especially the first episode with the dude saying "get your black ass on the ground" in slow motion. Still one of the funniest things I think I've seen this entire season. But yeah, definitely enjoyed it. Looking forward to where they decide to take the series, adding some stuff in. I know that Lynn is technically the sister of Green Lantern, if I remember right. Obviously the Black Green Lantern, not Hal Jordan. So that should be interesting. If it wasn't the Green Lantern, it's somebody black. But she's the sister of somebody, so it's like, oh, maybe they'll do that in the future. It's like, hey, this is this person's sister. So that should be interesting. That I'm pretty sure it was Jon Stewart. And that was like her given name or whatever. That is his sister. So that would be interesting. Once again, I don't think they'll go with that, because you introduce Green Lantern, that's kicking it up. That's like upper echelon. So I don't think they'll take it that far. But I would like to see them bring in some of the lesser known heroes. They've done that before. Like Legend of Tomorrow is a great show for that if you want to find out about lesser known heroes. Like they did that with Vixen. Constantine is in it, which they both have animated shows if you've never seen them. So those are great. Well, I assume Constantine is. I recently realized that that's been out for like forever, and I haven't watched it yet, so I have to check it out. But I love Constantine, so maybe you will too. But I'm excited to see where they're headed with this. Like I said, want to know what you guys thought about the finale. What you thought about this first season. Are you looking forward to season 2? Do you not care? What do you want to see them add in season 2, character wise, or anything like that? So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.